A wonderful good day and a warm welcome to a new and another video. Today we're talking about the ABS sensor ... As you can see, the Mercedes is hanging up here, and I've carried out an ABS diagnosis. So here, in this video, it's really more about how you can test the ABS sensor, specifically the active ABS sensor, or what's essentially the roll sensor, and how you can thoroughly check and verify its functionality. Or how you can generally test out the ABS system by using such an active ABS sensor, because there are both active ABS sensors and passive ABS sensors. So in this video, we're going to focus on about the active sensor, how to identify it, whether one is installed, what the difference is. I'll walk you through all of that. I did a diagnosis myself, but I wasn't entirely clear on the details anymore, so I looked it up on YouTube. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a good or recent video that explains it properly. That's why I thought, why not make a video about it myself? That way, we can also discuss it in the comments, which I think is a great idea. So we've got something to work with now, and I'd say let's dive right in. Here we can see a few ABS rings or tone wheels with ABS rings. This is one side, the other side has a grid. These are inductive sensors, meaning they're passive. Active sensors, on the other hand, operate differently, and I'll explain that in detail as we go along. Passive ABS sensor. We could make a separate video about that. Let us know in the comments below if we should. I believe we've already talked about the sensor several times before, including how to properly test and check it out. So here it's quite simple in principle. You perform a resistance measurement. It should be in the range of 1 kilo ohm. Go through the resistance measurement, and either it's fine or it isn't. You can also check it once more with an oscilloscope, turn the whole thing around, and take a closer look to see if these teeth are still intact and in good condition. And this ABS ring always comes in various forms and designs, or it can exist in different types, but here you can clearly see these teeth, how they essentially move up and down in a consistent and repeating pattern. That's how it detects whether it's spinning, whether it's locked or not. That's one aspect of how it functions. The other, slightly more complicated part is the active ABS sensor. It typically looks like this, also has two pins, which can sometimes make people mistakenly believe it's a passive sensor, leading them to perform a resistance measurement. That's completely wrong. With these active ABS sensors, you must never perform resistance measurements under any circumstances. And how can you typically determine whether it's active or passive? The passive ones are inherently magnetic in their design. The active ones, however, are not. Where is the noticeable difference? You can clearly observe that they incorporate a magnetic ring, so it's not exactly an impulse ring as you might initially assume. Nah, it's an impulse ring. They've got a specific name for it. Anyway, there are these magnetic strips inside. It's like a single ring, and most of the time they're actually built right into the wheel bearing, so you end up having to replace the whole thing. Most of the time, often, they burst, and then you have the issue that ABS errors start popping up. Often in the Golf 5 rear axle, Polo rear axle, Passat rear axle. Most of you probably already know that issue well. So, where's the big difference? Here, we require 12 volts to ensure the system functions properly. With the inductive sensor, we don't need 12 volts. That means the first diagnosis you can do is to check if there's even 12 volts present. Unplug the connector, measure, and check if 12 volts is present. That's the first test to perform. With the active one, the passive one doesn't deliver 12 volts. It generates a minimal voltage on its own to detect the signal correctly. Inductive sensor, like induction, it essentially generates the voltage itself. But I believe a minimal amount of current still manages to flow through into this magnetic coil. Alright, this one definitely has 12 volts, and the current is flowing through this ring right here. Does the whole thing alternate, and we can also see the whole thing with an oscilloscope image? With the active component, we have a square wave signal. And with the inductive sensor, we're dealing with a sinusoidal alternating voltage, specifically for the hardcore specialists in the room. To put it simply, and we can easily observe all of this using an oscilloscope tool right here on the screen. For this, you would need a more detailed oscilloscope image, because the voltage goes up and down by about 0.5 inches. I tried it with the Goodman tester. Unfortunately, it can't be adjusted more finely. This one you can already see normally with an oscilloscope. So, the next diagnosis we can perform is, through parameters, we can read out and test the vehicle and take a closer look at the data. If it gives us a rotational speed signal, or with an oscilloscope, or simply via parameters. So that's a bit of theory. We'll go through all of it again in practice shortly, how to do it with the active sensor makes inductive separate story, active sensor. That's what today is about. And we'll go over it again, as I said. In practice, that means no matter what we want to check on this component here, there must always be 12 volts. That means, so when you turn on the ignition, 12 volts must come through your vehicle here, and then we can, if the connector is plugged in, so to speak, go behind it and tap into the whole thing, and then we can check it here. We'll go through all of that in practice right away, but 12 volts must be applied here, so at least 10.5 volts. Up to 13.5, depending on how the generator is functioning. And that's crucial for the active component. Avoid performing a resistance measurement. And yeah, I'd say we're going to walk through all of this in practice now, showing exactly how to diagnose such an active sensor. Ja, zuallererst, if you want to perform a diagnosis on the ABS system, it's advisable to read out the ABS system. The problem is, and it's the typical issue that usually comes up, we read it out and it indicates ABS sensor or speed sensor, rear left, front left, or wherever. So what could it be? It could be the ABS sensor, or it might also be the ABS ring itself causing the problem here. Then you clear the whole thing. Usually, I'd say if you clear the fault and it's cleared, you take a test drive and then the fault comes back. Then it's usually the ring. That's what I usually say. But of course, sometimes, especially with the active sensors, you can't say for sure. With inductive, so with the passive part, it's usually like this. When you clear it, it's cleared, you take a test drive, and the ABS light comes on, then it's usually the ring. With active sensors, if the fault shows up again right away, then it's most likely the ABS sensor in the passive part of the system. The active part, period. That could be the ring, but it could also be the sensor. You don't have control over that. So, and that's why it's typically always problematic to make the diagnosis with the active part itself. So, it's advisable, first, read out the data, check what's been stored there. In this case, we've got ABS rear right stored as an error here. I've gone ahead and ordered the wheel bearing just to be cautious, since the ring is already part of the assembly. How can you also determine whether you're dealing with a passive or an active one? You can simply take a look. Your wheel bearing. So you can go to KFZ Tile 24, Autodoc, and just try to buy an ABS ring. Or take a look at the wheel bearing, try to purchase a wheel bearing, and check if it has a ring like that already fitted to it. Of course, don't actually buy it, just check through the database. Then you'll already know whether you have an active or passive one. This way you can also take a look at it. That means reading the error memory. Checking whether you have an active or passive, a BS system or ABS sensors, and then it continues with the parameters. So as we can see, it responded on the rear left. Now I'll go ahead and turn the rear right. Yes, as we can see, we've actually identified an issue on the rear right. That's everything we can do with the diagnostic tester. Reading parameters and error codes. Now, if we've indeed identified the issue on the rear right, we're also faced with the question, is it the ABS sensor or the ABS ring causing the problem? That means, period. We need to get to the connector and check if it's receiving 12 volts. If you, of course, have an active ABS sensor. In the case of inductive sensors, we're referring to both the passive and the active types here. The active one always has 12 volts. That's the one with the magnetic strip. The passive one is the one with this toothed wheel. The passive one doesn't get 12 volts, the active one gets 12 volts. We now need to check whether 12 volts are reaching each point. So at least 10.5. That's what I'd say. Let's go ahead and do it. With the MML, here's the ABS connector. The hose goes here. You'll see it shortly. Important important is the connector must stay on, because even though we can remove the connector if we want to measure 12 volts, but like this. If you now turn on the ignition, then you should have at least 10.5 volts, ideally 12 volts. The battery is now a bit low here, and then you should still have some voltage present. So what options do we have now? This indicates that the current from the control unit is making its way to the connector. Now we have to check the ABS sensor and the ABS ring. We could try rotating it a bit and see if it makes any noticeable difference. Nothing happens. So, now since we're on direct current, but if we switch to alternating current instead, better to see. Because here we have volts on direct current and alternating current. To the plug, 12 volts of direct current must arrive, so if we now want to check the ABS sensor, the ABS ring we want to check, we need to switch to dot, or rather to check the ring. We need to switch to alternating current, and now we'll rotate it once. So the value changes only minimally, but it does change. That means this is, after all, the intact side. That means if we turn and the value changes a little, then the ring is probably just fine. If it's not supposed to be okay now, you'll have to pull out the ABS sensor, and you still have the following option. You now have another option, and that is, well, if you're in the workshop, simply grab a ring. It doesn't necessarily have to be from the right car. The main thing is to take this magnetic strip, hold it against the ABS sensor, and simply rotate it. And check whether the problem lies with the sensor or with the ring. That's exactly what we'll do right now. The value fluctuates much more significantly because I can spin it faster here than turning the entire drive shaft. Let's go ahead and do that so you can see it once. I've already prepared this a little bit here. So I have the ABS sensor right here now, and can hold the ring up to it and rotate it in this manner. Bam. It explains itself, and you can now take a look at the multimeter to see how the value changes. We're currently sitting at 0.015, so now I'm taking a look. Alright, now it's jumping all the way up to 33, and it's really quite noticeable and clear. So if there was something wrong, if the ABS sensor were faulty, it wouldn't jump this far or react so strongly. So crucial it is, we still need to have the connector for the ABS sensor and everything properly installed. Yes guys, and this is essentially how you can test the active component, meaning the active sensor itself. Basically, all you need is a multimeter that can measure both AC and DC voltage. And the plug, as said, must stay connected. The ignition has to stay on. You basically have to tap into the whole thing and switch it to alternating current. And yes, in principle, it's all possible with a multimeter. You theoretically wouldn't even need to read any error codes at all. You could, in theory, try it out on every single tire available. But you need to take out the S sensor. Always a bit tricky, sometimes difficult. And that's how you can basically check the active sensor. I hope this was helpful for at least some of you watching today. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button as well, my friends. All possible questions about this activity sensor can be found down below in the video description, in the comments section. All the important info is in the video description. And like I said, don't do a resistance measurement. Check. Switch it to voltage on AC and observe if it responds, whether you rotate it manually or just take a magnetic disc, attach it there, and give it a quick spin to test. We can actually, just for fun, hold the magnet up to it, see if anything changes. I wanted to test that. Yes, minimal. With a magnet, you can do that too. It reacts minimally, but the right way is with the ring. Then it swings much further. Yes, I would say I haven't forgotten anything. I don't think so. Oh right, to test this ring, there are these specific discs where you can place it just like that on them. The main problem is that, in order to test it, the wheel bearing or the drive shaft usually has to be removed, so you can access it with this specific disc for testing, to check whether this ring is still intact. So, just FYI, something like this exists. We'll link it below for you. All sorts of tests, multimeter, everything linked below, and as I said, an oscilloscope isn't strictly necessary for this. The ABS sensor is broken on the other side. We'll show you how to replace it in the video, and you already know how to test it. And if we should create a specific video about the inductive sensor or the passive sensor, please write all your thoughts and suggestions down in the comments below. I think we've made one too. Until next time, bye!